While quietly earning $615,000, my wife filed for divorce and later married. My closest friend. Openly, her smirk was a blade, slicing through the quiet of our living room as she slid the divorce papers toward me. Did Sarah think she'd won, casting me aside like a broken tool? She stood there, eyes gleaming with triumph, believing I was just a jobless drifter while she planned her new life with my best friend David. But what she didn't know, what she couldn't know, was the secret burning in my chest. $615,000. A year, stacked silently, my empire hidden behind a humble facade. Was this the moment her betrayal would unravel? The air crackled with her confidence, but I felt the weight of my untold truth. How long had she and David been plotting, laughing behind my back? Did she sense the storm brewing as I sat, calm, unyielding, my smile a quiet promise of reckoning? The papers lay between us like a ticking bomb. Would she ever guess the wealth she was throwing away, or the karma waiting to strike? My pulse thrummed, not with fear, but with the thrill of a game she didn't know she'd already lost. Tonight, her victory would sour, and I'd watch her world tilt, one devastating truth at a time. Her voice still lingers in my mind. I don't want a husband who can't even hold a job. The pen in her hand hovered over the divorce papers as she smirked like she'd just claimed a prize. And me, I sat there, knowing something she didn't. She had no idea I was quietly earning $615,000 a year. I watched Sarah, the woman I once believed was my forever, thrust those documents at me, like I was some useless stray she couldn't wait to cast out. "You can keep the recliner, Michael," she sneered. "You'll probably be crashing on it in some rundown studio soon." It was almost amusing. Almost. Because right then, facing that smug, deceitful woman, I realized she wasn't just discarding our marriage. She was tossing away a winning lottery ticket. And she was clueless. You want to know when your heart truly shatters? It's not when she says she's done loving you. It's not even when she hands you divorce papers like it's a takeout menu. No, it's when she leaves you for your best friend. Yeah, you heard me. David, my so-called brother, my ride or die since childhood. The guy who stood as my best man at our wedding. The guy who sat with me when I picked out Sarah's engagement ring while I was grinding behind the scenes, building a six-figure income, living modestly, pretending times were tight to see who was genuine. They were playing house behind my back. And here's the kicker. She thought she was upgrading, trading loser Michael for hotshot David, who flaunted a sales job and drove a leased Audi he couldn't even cover the plates for. Meanwhile, I was sitting on $615,000 a year, debt-free, mortgage cleared, investment accounts soaring. But sure, call me a failure. The moment she left that night, slamming the door so hard the wall art shook, I didn't cry. I didn't beg. I didn't even shout. I smiled, because I knew karma was already sharpening her claws. What Sarah didn't know, what David didn't know, was that they just stumbled into a reckoning. You don't betray a man quietly building an empire. You don't spit on a man stacking silent wins day after day, waiting for the perfect moment to reveal his hand. And you sure don't expect him to sit idly while you revel in his ruin. The next morning, it was all over social media. Engaged, feeling blessed, posted from Sarah's profile, tagged with David, posing outside some tacky lakeside motel like it was a five-star resort. My phone exploded. Mutual friends, old classmates, even co-workers sending screenshots, asking if I was okay. Was I okay? I was thriving. She wanted a man who worked hard. I was working so hard, I'd just bought a rental condo the week before. Cash. She wanted a real man. I was quietly launching my own financial consultancy, signing clients ready to pay 5 figures, just to hear my advice. And now she was marrying a guy one missed payment from losing his car. 2 months later, David got sacked. Some mess involving padded expense accounts and too much entertaining female clients. Sarah went ghostly pale. By then, she was already tied to him in marriage. And trust me, it was nothing like her little social media fantasy. Bills piled up, fights grew louder, their new car got towed right out of their apartment lot. Meanwhile, I was lounging poolside in Miami, sipping a $40 bourbon, grinning at the text my lawyer sent. Divorce finalized. Full assets retained. Congratulations. Congratulations indeed. I don't know what felt better, the bourbon warming my throat, or the thought of Sarah realizing she'd lost everything for nothing. The funny part? She still didn't know the full truth. She thought she was divorcing a washed-up nobody. She thought she was leveling up. But what she really did was hand me the ultimate revenge, her own misery. A few weeks after her wedding to David, I started getting messages, not from her, from mutual friends. Hey Michael, you good man? Sarah's telling people you're living out of your car. Yo dude, Sarah's spreading stories that you're broke now. Need anything? I laughed so hard I nearly dropped my phone. Living out of my car. I just closed on my second townhouse. Cash. It hit me then. She needed to believe I was failing. She had to tell herself that to justify her betrayal. Because the only thing worse than betraying someone you once loved is realizing you did it for nothing. And karma wasn't done with her yet. One night, maybe 3 months after she left, I ran into David at a supermarket. I didn't even recognize him at first. The guy looked wrecked. Unshaven, eyes hollow, wearing cheap cargos and a faded jacket that hung off him wrong. He froze when he saw me. I could tell he wanted to bolt, but his ego wouldn't let him. So he stood there, gripping the shopping cart like it was his lifeline. Michael, he said, voice strained. I just smiled. David, I said back, how's married life treating you? He didn't answer. He didn't need to. The bags under his eyes, the twitch in his jaw, said more than words. Could. He mumbled something about being rushed and practically fled the store. I didn't follow. I just stood there, chuckling quietly in the canned goods aisle, watching his back vanish like a frightened kid. The mighty David, reduced to a broke, miserable shell. And Sarah. Word was she started picking up extra shifts at some grimy diner, just to cover rent. From housewife to waitress in 3 months flat. Guess David wasn't the big spender she'd banked on after all. Funny how life works. But the best part, the part that still makes me grin, was when I got an email from Sarah, herself. No subject, no greeting, just 5 words. Did you ever love me? Pathetic. The same woman who couldn't wait to toss me aside like garbage, now sitting somewhere in a dingy apartment, wondering how she fumbled so badly. I didn't reply. She didn't deserve one. By then, I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't hurt. I wasn't even bitter. I was free. Free from her lies. Free from the constant disrespect. Free from pretending a woman who treated me like a cash machine was my partner. And as for love, maybe I loved her once. Or maybe I loved the idea of who I thought she was before the mask fell, and the real Sarah emerged. Selfish. Cold. Calculating. I'm not sure anymore, but I know this. The best revenge is living well, and I was living better than ever without her. About a month later, it happened. I got a knock on my door at 10:30 p.m. At first, I thought it was a neighbor needing something, but when I opened it, there she was. Sarah, standing there like a drenched stray, clutching her bag like it was all she owned. Mascara streaking down, her face, hair a mess, wearing a creased jacket that hadn't seen a wash in weeks. I didn't say a word. I just leaned against the doorframe and waited. She swallowed hard. I made a mistake, she whispered, voice barely audible. I smiled, not warmly. Oh, now you realize, I said, sharper than I meant. But I didn't care anymore. What happened? Prince Charming couldn't pay the water bill. Her face crumpled. He lost his job, she admitted, eyes darting everywhere but at me. The apartment, we got evicted. I should have felt something. Pity, maybe. Sadness even. But all I felt was cold, hollow satisfaction. I crossed my arms. And what do you want from me, Sarah? I asked. She stepped closer, trembling. I want to come home, she said, voice breaking. I miss you. I miss us. I almost laughed in her face. Miss us? There was no us anymore. She buried that the second she packed her bags and ran off with David, without a second thought. I stared at her, letting the silence stretch until it stung. You missed the man you thought was broke, I said finally. The man you humiliated, lied to, replaced like a worn-out shirt. Her lips quivered. It wasn't like that. You didn't fight for me. The audacity made my blood boil. I didn't fight for her. I was working 80-hour weeks, sacrificing everything, building a hidden empire for our future, and she was cheating with my best friend because I wasn't home enough. I took a deep breath, swallowing the rage. Not for her, for me. You didn't want a husband who worked hard, I said, voice flat. You wanted someone to coddle you, to stroke your fragile ego every time you felt restless. Her eyes flashed, the real Sarah peeking through. I made a mistake, she said again, softer. Please, Michael, please. She reached for my hand. I stepped back. It wasn't even a question anymore. The woman before me wasn't my wife. She was a stranger, a liar, a schemer who threw away a real man for cheap thrills and an even cheaper guy. I shook my head. No, I said. She blinked, stunned, like rejection. It was physically painful. You'll regret this, she hissed. Mask slipping, voice venomous. I already regretted marrying you, I said, slamming the door in her face. She pounded on it for a while, screaming, crying, begging. But I didn't open it again. I stood there, breathing hard, listening to the woman who once vowed to love me forever hurl insults like some street stranger. And for the first time in ages, I felt peace. Not because it didn't hurt, it did. Not because the betrayal didn't scar, it had. But because she no longer had power over me. Not her lies, not her tears, not her threats. Nothing. She was just a mistake I'd survived, and survival felt damn good. 2 days later, I got a text from David. So pathetic I read it twice to believe it. Man, can we talk? The guy who stabbed me in the back with my wife, calling me man like we'd grab a coffee and laugh it off. I didn't reply. Didn't even block him. He didn't deserve that dignity. I just left him rotting in the unread section like the trash he was. Later that week, I heard through the grapevine that Sarah had moved into her parents' garage. Word was, her mom wasn't thrilled about it either. Apparently, Sarah had fed her the same sob story, that I was lazy, didn't provide, that she had no choice but to leave me. But now, with the truth trickling out, the real numbers, the real story, her house of lies was crumbling fast. Friends stopped calling her. Family stopped defending her. She became the cautionary tale nobody wanted to become. And me? I kept winning, quietly, ruthlessly, relentlessly. Every morning, I woke up in my new penthouse, gazing over the city, drinking the finest coffee money could buy, feeling lighter than I ever thought possible. Every deal I closed, every dollar I earned, every new client who shook my hand. It all felt like another brick in the empire she could have helped build, but she threw it away for nothing. One night, I was at a networking event. Glossy rooftop, wine flowing, people laughing, when I spotted a familiar face by the bar. Sarah. She wasn't supposed to be there. It wasn't her scene. Hell, it wasn't even her town anymore. She was supposed to be 2 hours away, stuck in the suburban mess she'd made. But there she was, in a cheap dress, too much makeup, nervously clutching a half-empty wine glass like it was tethering her to relevance. She saw me across the room. And for a second, I saw it. Raw regret. She started walking over. I turned my back, walked away without a word, left her standing there like a statue. The truth was, Sarah had already taken enough. She stole my loyalty, my trust, years of my life. She wasn't getting another second, not a glance, not a conversation, not a goodbye. That night, driving home, city lights streaking past my windshield, I felt it fully for the first time. Freedom. Not just from her, but from the version of me who thought I needed someone like her to be whole. I had saved myself. She had destroyed herself. And no matter what lies she spun, the truth was clear. She bet against me and lost everything. Weeks passed. Sarah tried every trick after that night. Texts, long, rambling emails, voicemails at 2 a.m., half crying, half accusing. I ignored everyone. She showed up outside my building once, in some sad little outfit she probably thought would spark nostalgia. It didn't. All I saw was desperation. A woman who'd thrown away her winning ticket for a handful of dust and now lacked the dignity to walk away quietly. The security guard asked if I wanted him to call the cops. I said, "Not yet. Let her stand there. Let her feel what it's like to be invisible to someone she thought would chase her forever. Let her taste the cold reality she served me a year ago, but now with no mercy, no hope of a second chance." Later, that night, I checked my messages. A new voicemail from her. I didn't want to listen, but some brutal, curious part of me did. I hit play. "Michael, I know you hate me. I know I don't deserve anything. But please, please just talk to me. I don't recognize myself anymore. David's gone. He took everything, emptied my account, maxed out my cards. I'm scared. I don't know where to go." She was sobbing by the end, begging. The same woman who discarded me like trash, now crying because her new upgrade tossed her aside without a thought. It was almost poetic, but I wasn't in the business of saving people who tried to sink me. Not anymore. I poured a bourbon, sat on my balcony and let the night wrap around me like armor. Somewhere in the city, Sarah was learning her choices had consequences. Not just losing me, not just losing comfort, but losing her identity. When you define yourself by who you can manipulate, what happens when no one lets you anymore? You become nothing. And that's what she'd become to me. Nothing. The next morning, my lawyer called. Apparently, Sarah tried to reopen the divorce case, claiming she deserved part of the wealth she never knew existed. Deserved, as if betrayal, deceit, and adultery earned you a cut of someone's blood and sweat. My lawyer laughed when he told me. I filed a counter motion. He said she's got no case, no money for court costs either. She was done, officially, legally, financially. All her bridges burned, all her lifeboats sunk. And me? I was too busy planning my next investment trip to Hawaii to care. Funny how life flips the script when you refuse to stay the victim. She thought she was sentencing me to misery when she left, but all she did was set me free to build a life bigger than she could ever imagine, a life she'd never touch again, not even in her dreams. I didn't hear from her for a while after that. The silence was almost strange. After months of her clawing to get back into my life, the sudden absence felt like walking through a house that used to be ablaze. Nothing left but ashes and smoke. I thought maybe she'd finally given up, but I should have known better. It happened on a Sunday afternoon. I was at a downtown bistro, meeting a client about a new venture. The place was buzzing, conversations humming like static. Then I saw her outside the window clutching a plastic bag, hair tangled, wearing a coat 2 sizes too big. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. Her eyes locked onto mine. I pretended not to see her, kept talking business, sipping my coffee, like she was just another ghost drifting by. But she didn't drift away. She came inside, marched right to my table like she belonged there. The client raised an eyebrow but stayed quiet. I didn't flinch. Sarah stood there, breathing hard, voice cracking. "Michael, please. I have nowhere else to go." I didn't say a word, didn't even look at her. She stood another few seconds, waiting for any reaction. When none came, she broke. Right there, in front of strangers, she started crying. Loud, messy sobs that turned every head in the bistro. The manager started walking over. I finally looked up, not at her, but at the manager. "It's fine," I said calmly. "She's just leaving." I don't know what hurt her more, the ice in my voice, or the fact I didn't acknowledge her as a person anymore. She stumbled back like I'd struck her, then turned and ran out the door. My client looked at me, stunned. "You okay, man?" I smiled, never better, because in that moment I realized something powerful. Sarah hadn't just lost me. She'd lost the version of herself that mattered, the one who was loved, trusted, who had someone willing to give her the world. Now, she was just another stranger screaming for attention in a world that had moved on. And I was done. Done mourning. Done reminiscing. Done explaining why she wasn't sitting across from me anymore. She'd made her choice, and now, so had I. To live, to thrive, to rise so far above the wreckage she created that she couldn't even see me anymore. Just another chapter closed. Another ghost laid to rest. And honestly, it felt damn good. I didn't think about her much after that. Life got busy, bigger clients, new opportunities, places I'd only dreamed of seeing before. I was flying, first class to cities where nobody knew her name, staying in hotels where the sheets cost more than she used to spend on groceries. It was like she'd never existed, like the storm had passed, and all that remained was clear sky. But karma always ties up loose ends. One night, I was out with old friends at a rooftop lounge, laughing, drinking, feeling unstoppable. That's when one of the guys, Tom, a mutual acquaintance who didn't know better, brought her up. "Hey, you ever hear what happened to Sarah?" I hadn't. I hadn't cared enough to wonder. Tom shook his head, chuckling grimly. "Man, she's living with her aunt now, working some dead-end retail job. No car, no savings. David split the second she ran out of money. Word is, she's begging her parents to let her move back in. But they're done with her too. Done. Just like me." I nodded, took a slow sip of my drink, and smiled. Not out of spite, not out of cruelty, but peace. She was finally getting what she'd ordered, the life she built with her own lies and greed. It was now the only life she had left. And me. I had everything she ever wanted and more. Freedom, wealth, peace, respect. All the things she traded away, thinking she'd find them somewhere easier, faster, cheaper. I sat there that night, staring over the city lights, feeling the weight of everything and realizing I wouldn't change a damn thing. She taught me the most valuable lesson of my life, that real loyalty, real love, real strength are rare. And anyone willing to betray you once will do it again the moment it's convenient. Never chase someone running toward their own ruin. Never beg someone to see your worth. Never waste time proving anything to someone who'd rather believe their own lies than your truth. The next morning, I woke up early, watched the sunrise, from my balcony, coffee in hand, a warm breeze rolling in off the bay. No anger, no sadness, no regrets. Just the quiet, unshakable certainty that I'd survived something meant to break me and came out stronger, sharper, better than ever before. Sarah was a chapter, but I was the whole book. And now I was just getting started. Betrayal doesn't just wound, it reshapes you, forging clarity from the ashes of trust. Sarah's choice to discard me for David wasn't merely a loss of love. It was a revelation, exposing the fragility of bonds built on illusion. Her smirk as she handed me divorce papers, oblivious to my $615,000 empire, taught me that true strength lies in silence, in knowing your worth when others see only weakness. The pain of her affair with my best friend carved a truth into my soul. Loyalty is a rare currency, not to be spent on those who trade in deceit. To anyone standing in the shadow of such treachery, listen. Your value isn't defined by those who leave you. Never chase a heart that's already fled, nor beg for a place in a story that's written you out. Sarah's downfall, her slide, into a life of diner shifts and eviction, wasn't my victory. It was the inevitable fruit of her greed. I rose not to spite her, but to honor myself, building a life of wealth and peace she'll never touch. Protect your heart like a fortress, but don't fear solitude. It's the crucible where resilience is born. When betrayal strikes, don't crumble. Stand taller. Let it refine you. The greatest triumph isn't watching your betrayer fall. It's thriving in a world they can no longer reach. Your spirit unbroken. Your story yours alone to write.